That's Alone from Richard Hawley's 8th studio album, Further. But Richard is with me now. Hello.
Hi.
Feels like it's a record of I don't know if departures is the right way of putting it. New starts, bit different in the new label, and not much clocks in at more than about 3 minutes 15 on this record.
There is one track.
Is there?
Yeah, called Time Is.
Yes.
That I think it's 4 minutes or thereabouts, which we call the prog track. And I allowed that one to kind of spin out a bit because our dear friend Clive Mellor, who's a harmonica player from Manchester that we've guested with us many times.
Yeah.
And he's never actually played on an album, you know. And that track, Time Is, it's called. It was obvious that when we were playing that just let Clive blow because he sounds amazing, you know. But it was getting back to, I guess, in a way, it's a weird thing, you know. So I suddenly realised, I think it was Graham, we were in the pub or something. He says, "You know, you've been a solo artist now for 20 years." Mm-hmm. And I sort of went, yeah. That realisation, in terms of time, at least, it dwarfs anything commitments that I'd made to any other project whatsoever. You know, I don't feel in any way, which is surprising, really, I guess, after that length of time. And obviously, before that, I've been playing since I was 14, you know, in various incarnations. Yeah. And I've realised that I was quite lucky because I don't feel jaded. Yeah. Or, you know, there's been ups and downs, let's face it, you know. But I don't feel tired or jaded. And I really wanted to compress the art of writing the 3-minute song and compress all that information into just such a short space of time has been something that's fascinated me for my whole life, you know, as a writer.
So did you, I mean, you mentioned Graham, the arranging manager, did you say to people, I'm going to set myself, what's that thing about, somebody said, Robert Frost said about writing free verse, he said it's not right because it's like playing tennis with the net down. Did you say to yourself, I want to set myself strictures, you know what I mean? Did you deliberately say, I'm going to set myself some limitations to see what comes out?
An interesting quote, that, because I often just go in literally like Cool Hand Luke and I sort of, you know, lie to everybody in a way. It's a white lie, but I just go, you know, oh yeah, I've got loads of songs, it'll be fine. You know, and loads of albums I've done like that. Right. Because I always try and get somehow to that spirit of that performance that you're doing there and then is the one. Just to try and get something that's got, it's that emotional quality I'm always after. It might actually be something that's out of tune or it's not right, but somehow. I mean, that song Time Is. Yeah. I did the demos in Shed with me and Shez in Disgracelands, and the performance that I did, I couldn't get that sense of it again. And I've not even finished the lyrics, so some of the lyrics are not quite right. Yeah. But they sort of are. Yeah. I did set myself strictures and strict kind of things where it had to be, you know, around about 3 minutes. I wanted it to be up-tempo and not too maudlin, which obviously I'm fairly versed in. And it kind of be positive. And also, from a kind of sonic point of view, is, I guess if people think of me, if they ever do at all, is that it would be Richard Hawley, that string-laden bloke, you know. And me and Col actually added up how many tracks over basically the last 20 years that have got strings on, and it's about 8. Yeah. If that. And a lot of them, it's just a single violin or something. Yeah, so we've never really done a record where it was that, and I kind of had that sort of slightly thing, keep the customer satisfied, even myself. Yeah. Right, let's do it. Let's actually make that record that's got a lot of orchestration on it, but it not be intrusive in any way. Yeah. And it's not just the 3-minute pop song, but on this record, I really wanted to do it and felt good about writing. Yeah. I don't mean like, oh, I'm really happy and everything's great, because there is a backdrop in my mind at the moment, I guess, and a lot of us are feeling this because there's so much negative, hateful stuff out there. And I personally don't want to be part of that. No. Try and come up with some different vibe, you know.
That leads me brilliantly into the next track I'm going to play, I think. Let's hear another track from Richard's new album. This is called Little Treasures.
My little treasures, my little treasures, I keep close to me.
That's My Little Treasures from Richard Hawley's new album, Further, which is out now. We were just talking about negativity, and that would seem to me to be a song about the exact opposite. It's about cherishing the good things in life. Would that be right?
Yeah, definitely. And I guess, like a lot of us, without sort of darkening the vibe a lot, I've had a lot of loss, you know, people dying around me and stuff. And that's just life. If you live life for a certain time, all things will happen, you know, around you and to you and to people you love. And that's actually the song that the riff I'd had hanging around for a long time. I call them comfort riffs. I've got a lot of them. I'll just sit and they're in a loop and I'll play them. And My Little Treasures, the story with that was when Dad passed away, is about a year later, his old friends, his bass player and drummer, Pete and Roger Jackson, they rang me up to see if I was okay and said, do you fancy a pint, you know? And I said, I'd love to, you know. And they said, okay, well, what time do you want to meet? I said, well, I'm easy, I'll go around you. And they says, okay, we'll meet you in, I'm allowed to say, in Wetherspoons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's advertising or whatever this is.
It's fine.
We'll meet you in Spoons, you know, at 7:30.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, great, you know. So turned up at 7:30. Nobody there. Nobody there that I knew anyway, you know. So I hung about, stuck around for like an hour and a half, nobody there. So I went home, a bit deflated.
Yeah.
And then Pete rang me next day and he says, where were you? I said, I was there, Pete, 7:30. And he went, what time of day? I said 7:30 p.m. and he went, I meant a.m. So basically all these gentlemen of a certain age, they go in there at 7:30 in the morning. I said, Pete, even in my wildest, craziest days, I won't go to a pub at 7:30 in the morning, pal. No. So anyway, we managed to get our AM and PM thing sorted out eventually and went to the pub, and I was stood at the bar with Pete. Pete opened his wallet and he showed me this picture of him and Dad when they were kids. They were on the back of Pete's uncle's motorbike and sidecar, and Dad and Pete were like 13, 14 years old, and he'd had this picture in his wallet since then. And where the wallet had folded, the picture was kind of cracked and nearly broken, and he just said to me, it's my little treasure, that. Oh. And it blew my mind, you know, completely, and how someone could hold on to that affection and friendship and loyalty and stuff for so long, and love, you know. Yeah, yeah. And the song basically morphed out of that. Yeah. You know.
There's a lovely video in a Super 8 video in a park, isn't there? Yeah.
Well, you know, you can fall for it, you see, being a pop star, where you have like the self-aggrandizing ego fest videos, and I have tried to avoid them. Or if I do a video, I've tried to inject at least a molecule of humour, self-deprecation in it. Yeah. Because I do it because if I don't, somebody else is going to do it. Yeah. And you know, there's a budget for it and all that. I says, I just want to make a film with a GoPro camera on one of the dogs. Yeah. And the spaniel with his floppy ears and stuff. Yeah. And just with our my youngest son. Yeah. And Graham sort of went, oh, I'm not sure about that. I said, go on, let's just try it, you know. And they just chucked a ball about in the park. And it's just about those things that I said. Yeah. And people might think, well, it's slightly disappointing for a pop video, it's a bit soppy or whatever, but I don't really care. No. You know, I'm too old for that. No. And I just want to avoid the self-aggrandizing ego fest, because, you know, you can fall for it if you're not careful. Yeah. And it's very easy and tempting to do, but I try and avoid it if possible, you know.
Well, it's a lovely record. We should say that particular song is one of the ones included in the Standing at the Sky's Edge.
Yeah, they used it for the
musical, which I was looking up to see the last night. It was fantastic. I loved it. We should just say something quickly about that, which is, again, a very human story. But what I loved about it was being in a theatre on a Saturday night watching a musical in which people were being not told, but people being shared in their own story, rather than some fantastical wonderland, you know, of La La Land or whatever. This was just a very simple story about the Park Hill housing estate in Sheffield.
Yeah, and specifically 3 timelines.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to say, Stu, it says Richard Hawley over the door and all that, but that musical, there's a lot of other people that deserve credit for it, and it was a collaborative affair. It wasn't the Richard Hawley show. There's Chris Bush who wrote the book, and Rob Hasty was the director at the Crucible, you know, and Lynn Page who did the choreography and stuff. It's a complex and long story, post-war Britain.
It is.
You know, and to compress that into a musical seemed to be, hold on a sec, we could come a cropper here. And when Chris got involved, she instinctively knew the way I write songs is I might try and write something that's the overview of it is some kind of political statement, but I can't help myself but veer always towards the people's...
To the human story.
And Standing at the Sky's Edge, there's 3 verses in it, and they were all about people that I knew, you know, and or I was aware of when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And Chris writes from that human perspective instead of trying to get on a soapbox and have a go. There's enough of that out there.
Yeah.
You don't need another fool to join in that debate.
No, you're
right. And both of us just wanted to tell stories about what happened to people on that estate, to try and have some level of empathy with people from very disparate kind of compass points.
Yeah.
You know, Poppy, she's the young yuppie from London who buys it, the new done-up flats.
Yeah.
And that character, you would think, you know, in Sheffield would have zero sympathy.
No, and she's really, really sympathetic.
Yeah, and Chris's mastery of that with the script, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, my contribution towards the script was basically the gags, some of them, you know.
Yeah.
And it was stuff that I'd overheard at bus stops, like the couple who were somewhat refreshed one evening I heard at a bus stop saying, you know, you love Sheffield Wednesday more than you love me. I love Sheffield United more than I love you. You know, all that kind of... It's just stuff that I heard in bus stops, pubs, all that. And that kind of got injected into it. But I don't want to take any credit whatsoever away from Chris. You know, she was... she's a genius.
It's fantastic. For now, sadly, you've had your chance for Standing at the Sky's Edge until it's revived, we hope. But you can get Richard's new album. Further is out now. It's wonderful. And thanks a lot, Richard.
Cheers, Stu. Lovely to see you again, man.
Very good, Stuart talking to Richard Hawley. Yeah, they did that one behind my back.
Yeah, we did. We had to do it, Mark, sorry. Hawley's...
No, good to hear, Yeah,
Hawley's album, you can't see Standing at the Sky's Edge at the moment unless they revive it, which I very much hope
I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will. It's a great night out, and but you can get Further, which is out now. He's playing Stockport with Paul Heaton at the football ground in a couple of weeks' time, and then he's out on a big tour in October. I think playing loads of big shows then.
Thanks very much to Richard Hawley.
Off we go. The road to France starts right here.